Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel. And so today I just wanted to give you guys an update on the 2010 Toyota Corolla, the one I did the clutch on in July of 2023. So it's been roughly I think like 10 months ago. It's April now, so May, June, July, so probably like 9 or 10 months ago. So uh, at the time I did the clutch at 177 803 kilometers. I'll put the picture of the odometer readings on the screen, and now it's 185 819, so roughly 8,000, slightly more than 8,000 kilometers. And so far the clutch has been pretty good. It's butter smooth. It's beautiful. There's no issues whatsoever. Now I just wanted to discuss just a tiny bit more of what happened and what's going on. Uh, After the break-in period, I think it's about 1,200 kilometers, so that's about 750 miles. So after the break-in period, you can be a little bit harder on the vehicle, but still it's not good to go wide open throttle until a wee bit more after the break-in period. But you should be careful so that the parts can be wear mated together, so you don't ruin the clutch disc, because it's possible to get the clutch disc glazed and overheated if you don't give it enough time or sufficient time for the break-in period. But usually after maybe about 1,200 kilometers or so, you should be okay to to give it. So just be careful. I waited until maybe like 2,000 kilometers until I can until I can gas it, and then you should be fine. Now one thing I noticed, that in the initial installation after I finished, the clutch pedal was really easy and soft to press, but that's normal because I cleaned everything up. And you have all new parts. You cleaned everything up on the input shaft, grease everything up, the release bearing and everything, so everything moves very smoothly. So it's gonna be less effort and a better clutch feel after the job is done. But after about, I say roughly after about 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers, I noticed that the clutch pedal got a little stiffer after that, very slightly stiffer. Still feels good and soft as it's supposed to be, but it got slightly stiffer because I assume that because it took some time for the flywheel, the clutch disc, and the pressure plate and the release bearing to wear in properly. So the clutch pedal gets slightly stiffer. I didn't notice it until after roughly around the 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers mark. And so I just wanted to say that in the very beginning, it was very difficult to control the clutch because the engagement is too soft. Like just after you're pretty much almost about to release the clutch pedal, just almost at its full travel, the clutch starts to engage, and so it was very difficult to control. And in the beginning, I did like a jackrabbit start, or like a very slight I wouldn't say a burnout, more like a, I don't know, I call it like a jackrabbit start, or a slight burnout when you spin the wheels. So and that was unintentional in the very beginning. When I did the very first road test, the clutch pedal was very soft, and it was difficult to control. So it took me quite some time to get used to it, because the clutch is still new. so it takes some time. I'm not sure if that's how it is for other vehicles, because really I haven't done many clutch replacements. I think this was actually my first time doing a clutch replacement. uh, During my apprenticeship days, I probably helped like the foreman in one of the shops to pull the transmission out on a manual transmission vehicle. I think it was like on a Subaru or something. And so I only helped to disassemble the stuff. So I figured on how on how it goes, but really I haven't done many clutch replacements. I've only done this one on this Corolla. And so it's because a lot of auto manufacturers are going away with the manual transmissions. So the manual transmissions are kind of a dying breed. So, but there are some people they who like manual transmissions. They're trying to keep it, but it's only a small percentage of us folks who want the manual transmission to be in still in existence. And so I see a lot of people just don't want to learn on how to drive manual transmission. So some people, or a majority of people, are just lazy. They'd rather drive an automatic car. And so be it. There's not much that you can do. So anyhow, I think that's pretty much the update. Uh, this car doesn't get driven all too much, so uh, I didn't mention it in the beginning, but yes, this is my personal vehicle. So anytime I do some work to it, I try to make a video on it for you guys, and it might help because this generation Corolla is pretty similar to the this I believe this is the 10th generation Corolla, so it's very similar to the ninth generation Corolla, and the ones after that too, 11th and 12th. All they are very similar because they utilize the same chassis and everything in most of its drivetrain. So not too much has changed, but they started changing the Corolla models quite a bit after, like, I think 2020 or 2021. I'm not exactly sure, but after that they changed a lot of the steering and suspension components and stuff like that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention is that I still wanted to make a video on how to check for the clutch disc wear at the rivets, but I wanted to get a new clutch assembly by Luke, because that's the same one as the original Toyota one. They use Luke parts, except that they just stamped the Toyota name on it. But on I think on the clutch disc itself, it says Luke on it. So that's how I know that's what they use for the OEM. I actually I wanted to spend a couple $100 to get a new clutch kit, so I can just use it for comparisons sake and show the clutch wear and stuff on the old clutch and on the new clutch to see the difference. But I haven't had the chance yet, but I'm hoping to make a short video on that on the workbench. So I wanted to mention that the clutch disc, the original clutch disc that came off of this vehicle, there was still a little bit of life on it. There's maybe another 30 or 40,000 kilometers or so. Although there was a lot of cracking and glazing, and some of the friction material has came off, but it was still working. The issue was I could feel like a slight difference in the clutch pedal feel uh, before the change, and so I noticed that something was off or going out. So that's that's the reason why I changed the clutch. It was mainly because that the release bearing was going, so it was very noisy, And so I didn't want it to wait until it got any worse, because I didn't want to have a breakdown and then have it towed. And so I decided to have it done a little bit earlier than usual. Although the release bearing, it was making noise more often, but it wouldn't happen all the time. It was intermittently happening. One time I was moving the car, and then all of a sudden it was making squealing noises as I was moving in first gear, and then it would only happen only when I'm usually in first gear, and I'm just almost about to release the clutch pedal just almost all the way, and there's a sweet spot in which I would be able to duplicate the noise almost all the time. And so I knew it was the release bearing. I had it checked. Like I checked it out myself, and at one point, or at some point, I went to my old work where I used to work at the GM dealer, and I know some of the guys there, and so I had one of the guys to also to double check for me to make sure it was the release bearing before I decided to replace the clutch. I knew it was the release bearing. It was just that I don't have anybody in my household or any friends that's in my area to give me a hand, or a neighbor who's competent in driving a manual transmission. And so you and so the issue is that I don't know any other mechanics in my area to give me a hand while I'm in the vehicle and somebody is under the hood trying to listen for the noise. So that's how I was able to figure it out. I knew that it was the release bearing, but I just wanted to make sure and double check. So anyhow, that's it for today. I'm going to conclude the video now. The sun is going down, so it's getting dark. Uh, so that's it. If you enjoyed this one, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.